Welcome. This is Lisa with Art Journaling Adventures for Beginners, and today we are winding up our adventure with tags. So this is episode 7 of Adventures with Tags, and I always start the tag adventure videos with why tags and what are tags in case you're just tuning into this one for the first time. This is a tag. You can buy these at craft stores. You can buy them at office supply stores. They come in all sizes and shapes, and you can make your own. So if you want to know more about tags, go back to the beginning episodes and I'll tell you a lot more about tags. And the objective of this whole 7-part sequence is to create a journal made out of tags. So these are all tags that I created, and then today we are going to create the cover that goes on the front and back of your tag journal that's a little sturdier. Your tags are going to be a nice cardboard weight, but your cover should be a little bit sturdier than your inner tags. And so I'm going to talk to you about how to create your cover front and back with a tie or without, whichever you choose. And one of the other things that I have been talking about through this whole 7-part series is the fact that everything that we have made, everything that I have used to make these tags was all found in my house without me buying anything. So we have covered 4 different patterns, front and back. So just for a quick reference, the first pattern we did was this one. This was the very first tag that we did, very first template that we did. And so all these things were things that were already in my house. I didn't have to go out and buy anything. If you want to go out and buy supplies, what good heavens, you can spend endless amounts of dollars on really fun, cool stuff. However, you can get started and enjoy art journaling without having to have a bunch of equipment. And to prove that, I am just going to dive right into today's episode. Let me close this back up. I don't know where my covers are. There we go. Close this back up and talk about what do we need for today. So let's move that out of the way. Today's materials list. You are going to need the regular stuff that you have needed for every other project, which is a pencil, a scissor, an exacto knife, a ruler, a hole punch. If you don't have one of these, you can get one at the dollar store for $1. And some kind of glue. I have white glue. I use tacky glue. This is a crafter's glue. If you're brand new to this and you have a glue stick is completely fine for paper to paper. So as long as you're just gluing paper and you're new to this, I would highly recommend just sticking with a glue stick. You don't need to do anything special. All right, so what other things do you need to create your cover? You are going to need a heavy piece of cardboard. I actually ended up using a box of macaroni and cheese, and it was the right size. And I saw it in my closet, and I'm like, wow, when that's finished, that will be the perfect size to make the back and front cover of my tag journal. So that's what I used. You will need a piece of typing paper, hopefully colored. I used, this already cut my pieces out, but I used a piece of yellow because it goes with the theme of the colors that I have been using for this particular project. You are going to need, so here's my front and back. You are going to need a piece of typing paper, which this is. I'm going to cut it so you don't have to take time. And I used for my covers wrapping paper because it was pretty. I already had it around the house, so you don't have to go out and buy it. If you have wrapping paper, you can use gift bags. Are very pretty for your wrapping your covers. Anything that you like that's pretty, you can go ahead and use that appeals to you. Go ahead and use that to cover your covers. You may even have a cover of something that you like. I know in previous episode I showed tissue boxes, so I happen to have one here. Tissue boxes have gorgeous patterns on them, so if you found a tissue box that had your color scheme in it, you could actually just cut that and one side would already be done. Then you'd only have to cover the other side, the inside, which is, cardboard color. Alrighty, so let's get started and talk about what you're going to need. So you have your cardboard. This is your, to build your covers on. This is what you're going to cover your cardboard covers with. You are also going to need a variety of papers. So, which is all in here. And this list is up on in the description of the video. You are going to need some printed paper. So I have this with a print. I have this as an envelope. It's got a little bit of print on it. This actually came off of the side here, and I realized, you know what, that's yellow and blue, and my colors are yellow and blue and green. I have this really cool envelope, and I've used some black in mine. And this says, I love this, it says good stuff inside. This is just an envelope. So those are the things that I've pulled aside to use to decorate and create my covers. You need to have a similar thing. So you need to have heavy cardboard that's at least 7 by 7 inches. You need to have two pieces of decorative fabric, papers that are at least 8 inches by 8 inches. You will need a 24-inch piece of ribbon based on your journal being somewhat around this size. The one I actually showed at the beginning had 17 tags in it, and it was significantly thicker. So you're going to have to judge how much ribbon you need by how thick you decide you want to make your journal. And so if you haven't finished all your tags, you may want to hold off on the ribbon piece until your journal is already done, and we'll talk more about the ribbon later. You're going to need some little embellishments. So I have these little things were cute for embellishments. I had, and embellishments are just things that add interest. I had these they're like little stamps. One says hope, the other says joy. And then this is somebody like an angel blowing a trumpet or something. I don't even know what that is. It just was kind of fun. So anything with a little print on it. This is actually a K. It's kind of pretty. I probably won't use it, but this is what I'm talking about, embellishments. This is a couple of mushrooms that I cut out. So anything that's small, about the size, slightly the size of a quarter, larger, maybe a 50-cent piece, is what you're looking for your embellishments. And they are just going to add that final little piece of interest when you've done your major design. You also may want some kind of word or phrase. I love this one. Like I said, this says good stuff inside. I think that's perfect for the outside of a journal. But you might like, I don't know, empowering or beautiful or you got this or whatever. So if you got magazines, look through magazines. You can find it. If you can't find a magazine or you don't get magazines, feel free to just type something up on your computer and make it an interesting font and print it out and then cut it out. And you can use that if you want some words on the outside of your tag. All right, that is the materials that we're going to need for today. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. And I've tried to make this video 3 times and have had trouble getting the directions out in my mind. So hopefully this is the lucky one, and this one will work. Let's start with our cardboard because that is the framework that we are building everything on. So you're going to need 2 pieces of cardboard that are pretty thick. As you can notice, this one even has a little crimp in it. I don't care because I'm going to cover it up. My journal tags I made that we've done this whole project on are 3 inches by 6 inches. So based on that measurement is what I'm going to tell you the measurements of everything you need to make your covers. But I will also give you the measurements you need in case you decide you want to make your tags a little bit larger or a little bit smaller. All right, so I made because my cards are 3 by 6, I cut my tags a 1/4 inch bigger, both wider and taller. My tags were 3 by 6. My cover is going to be 3 1/4 by 6 3/4. If you need to, you can go ahead and pause the video and find your cardboard, cut your cardboard, whatever you need to do, but you're going to need 2 pieces to cover 3 by 6 tags. They're going to have to be 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. The next thing you are going to need is the paper to cover the outside of the tag. And I am using this beautiful dandelion, blue dandelion and silver dandelion print, which I just think is cool. This you are going to need 1.5 inches wider than your tag and 1.5 inches longer than your tag. So if your tag is, your tag cover, excuse me, not your tag, but your tag cover. If your tag cover is 3 1/4, you want your cover paper to be 4 3/4. So it is actually 1.5 inches both wider and taller, okay, you can see that, than your cover tag. So again, if you're working on a 3x6 tag, that makes a 3 1/4 by a 6 1/4 cover, and that means you're going to use a 4 3/4 by 7 3/4 cover paper. So let me just recap that. Your cover paper for your tag cover is going to be 1.5 inches wider and 1.5 inches longer. For your 3 1/4 inch cover tag, that means your paper needs to be 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. So you should have 2 pieces that are that size. And you can pause the video if you need and go ahead and cut whatever you're using for your cover fab patterns. Finally, you are going to need 2 pieces of paper for the inside of your cover. And they are going to be 1/4 inch less than your cover both ways. So here you can see, here's our cover is 3 1/4 wide. Our outside, I don't know if you can see that, is 4 3/4 wide. And our inside is 3 inches. All right, so that's the width and measurements that you need of all of your materials today. If you didn't catch it, it will be in the, you can take a screenshot of this and come back and look at it. All right. Okay, what is next? Let's go ahead and cover our covers with our cover paper. So I said I am using this pretty dandelion. Now you may want to keep in mind, I really didn't keep this in mind when I cut it, so it's a good time to remind you to keep it in mind before you cut. Because this is going to be my cover, I want to make sure that I've got the, like this is this pretty dandelion, but I've almost not cut it in a place that it's going to show. So I'm going to choose this piece as my front cover because the dandelion is at least kind of where I'm going to see it. All right. And the other one, because I don't care as much, I'm going to put it in the back. But, you know, where I'm being really careful about this, I might want to take my cover cardboard and put it on my paper and say, oh, you know what, I want that to be right here. And that way I could line it up and measure the paper so that the dandelion would be right there. All right. But I didn't do that, so we're going to use the art journaling Lisa Stern's good enough is the way to go approach to this. And we're going to say, you know what, that's fine right up there. I'm sure I'll make it work however it is. I'm going to turn it over. And you are going to eyeball it. If you're an exacty person, then go ahead and measure it. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it loosey-goosey here. And I'm going to put my cardboard in the middle of my cover paper. So you can see it's kind of even on all sides. I'm going to take my pencil and I am going to trace my cover on my paper. And that's so that now when I put the glue on it and I go to put it back on, I know exactly where to put my paper. And we're just going to apply some glue to this. I am going to use, I don't like white glue on, especially on wrapping paper. It makes the wrapping paper get kind of dimply. I am going to use just plain old glue stick glue on this because it won't make my cover weird. And you want to be really, really just go at it with your glue stick. Don't be shy with the glue stick. You know, you're a 5-year-old and glue stick, this is the first time you've ever played with glue stick, and you are just going to town. You are having a ball with this new slimy, funny thing. So I've got glue stick all over one side, and now I can line it up with my outline that I drew on here. And it's perfectly lined up and ready to go. I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. And we're going to let that sit and dry for a minute. Oops, you know what I forgot? I didn't forget. So before we go too much further, I marked it on both of them, but I forgot to do it. You want to mark where your hole at the top of your tag goes, and you want to do that based on the tags from your tag journal. So take one of your tags and go ahead and see, I have to center this now because my cover is wider than my tag. And just go ahead and draw a hole where your hole punch should go. And that way we'll be ready to punch it as soon as I fold this over. You need to punch as you go because otherwise the paper gets too thick and your punch won't punch through it. So I really should have, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I really should punch through the cardboard first because otherwise sometimes it gets so thick I can't punch it. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my hole in. And now I only have the one thickness of the paper to punch through. All right, so we've got the one piece done. Let's go ahead and do this other piece, and this time I'll remember to cut the hole, punch the hole first. And you can see where I marked it on this one. And we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to put the put my cardboard on my paper. Center it, top and bottom, side to side. Go ahead and trace it. Go to town with your glue stick. Make sure you put enough glue around the hole that you punched because you want to make sure that it's really stuck on there once you punch it, that it's not loose, because otherwise then it'll tend to get tattered as you use your journal and you're flipping it, the cover over the ring and stuff. If it's not got enough glue on it, then it'll make a mess of your paper. All right. And now we are putting this right down where we drew our outline so we know exactly where it needs to go. Wonderful, wonderful. All righty. Okay, let that sit and dry a minute. We'll go back to our first one. Oops. So turn it over and look, because I just turned mine over and it's still got a little bit of dimples on it. So just go ahead and, you know, turn it over, make sure it's stuck the way you want it to be stuck. It's all nice and smooth. Check this one out just to be sure. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty. Now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut, see how the edge is here of your cardboard? You're going to cut across the corner like this. But you're going to make sure not to come too close to that edge. We want a little overlap. So maybe 1/4 of an inch away from that. And just go ahead and cut all 4 of your corners. 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. All right, so now it looks like that. And now you're going to, I like to kind of crease it first, so put your hand along the side. You're going to, and just kind of fold your paper up a little bit, and then taking your finger or even your fingernail, just push along the edge of the cardboard here so it makes a nice crisp fold. And go around and do that on all 4 sides. There we go. If I'm using heavier stuff, I'll actually put liquid. If I'm using white glue, I put liquid glue down here on the edge, and that way it holds it right to there. All right, so as you fold this over, you're going to notice that you got a little fold overlap, and that's what we want. We want that little fold overlap because we don't want the cardboard sticking out. So that means we did it the right way. We're going to put some glue now on the paper so that we can fold it over and glue it, and we're just going to do one at a time. So pick one side, I don't care which side, any side, put some glue on it, and make sure you get the glue down along this edge where the cardboard is, so you have a nice tight seal along the cardboard edge. And also make sure you get your glue in this corner where your paper is going past the corner of your tag. And now you're just going to push that down nice and firm. Since you already creased it, it should stick pretty well. And go ahead and kind of push along the edge of the paper so you get this nice clean edge. Really want a clean edge, all right? And then you're going to go in here, right here where it's overlapping, and just kind of just do a little crease like that, okay? And that way you'll get a nice fold right there when you go to glue the second side. All right. And we're going to do the opposite side now, so don't, since you did this side, do the other long side. If you started with your short side, do the second short side first. So just do the opposing sides first. And that way when you're finished folding, it'll look the same all the way around. Okay, I've got my glue. Okay, and again, I'm doing a little crease here, and a little crease here, and that'll make a nice fold when I get ready to do my other ends. Now I'm ready. All right, so make sure when you put your glue on that you get your glue on this folded edge, because that's going to glue on top of the paper. So I want to make sure I get right down in there. I'm glad I'm using a purple glue stick so you can maybe hopefully see a little bit of where my glue is going. And again, crease it first and then push it down nice and firm, and you get this nice, crisp, clean fold. And while it's still soft, especially if you have a pencil with no eraser, find where your hole is that you punched with your hole punch and just kind of do an indent. You can even trace a little bit. You can't see, but I can. You can go ahead and just kind of like color it in right there so you really can see where your hole punch needs to go, because otherwise it's gonna be hidden. And we'll do our last side. Alrighty. Perfect. Good enough. Good enough is perfect. And again, fold and push it down nice and tight. And now we have these beautiful tight edges. All right. My hands are sticky. Need a little bit of water to clean it up. Be aware of getting glue on your surface, because then your project will stick to the glue on your work surface, and it can ruin your paper and all your pretty artwork that you've done on the front. All right, we are now going to take our inside that you should have cut smaller, and now you can see why it needs to be smaller, because just like the inside of a book, we want the outside outside paper to show on the inside, and the inside paper to be slightly smaller. So that's why we cut it a 1/4 inch less. We could cut it a little bigger, but I'm fine with the 3x6. And now I am just going to coat this with glue also. Looks like I'm going to be going through a whole stick of glue today. And get this all nice and gluey. Gluey-looey. So there's so many things I love about art journaling, but one of them is it has really just taught me to, just be okay with stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to support my starving children or anything. I really am just wanting to have fun. I'm wanting to enjoy playing with art materials. And one of the thing that appealed to me about art journaling was that it doesn't take a lot of room. So, you can get one notebook, you can do projects in a notebook, and it's one little tiny notebook. It doesn't take up any room. I'm not doing big canvases or, big crafty projects. I love doing crafty projects, but what am I going to do with, gigantic paper flowers or, some of the things that those, so these projects are small, and, you know, you can use them. If you like journaling, you know what? You can use this as a journal. If you don't like journaling but you like crafting, I guarantee you know somebody that would love to receive this as a gift. So you can gift it. You can make it into a journal and gift it, and you can make it in a theme. You know, if you know somebody that loves the beach, then start collecting stuff that looks like the beach and make them a whole tag journal out of beach stuff. And I guarantee they would really be happy with it. All right, so I'm hoping I can do the speedy film. So you don't have to watch me do the next side. Go ahead and complete the next side of your tag the same way. You're just gonna, oops, we're gonna cut it first. I don't know if I know how to, see if my husband knows how to make this go faster, that you can just watch me do this quickly, but whatever. Go ahead and complete the second side the same as you did the first side. Just crease it, make sure I got a nice fold. Nice fold. Go ahead and glue it down. Mark my hole. Oh, I need to mark it after I put the paper on it. Alrighty. You know, I have a, you gotta check and see if you have a discount store near you, like a Goodwill or a, we have a Second Avenue here. They're both discount stores. And everything that they sell, that's that they hang, they put these sticker tags on that are price tags. And so I save them all. Even though they're a little crumply, I save them all. And all you have to do is cover it up with a little piece of paper, and now you have a really cute tag. This covered up where the staple was, this covered up where the stickiness is, and now I've got these really cute tags. So again, you don't have to buy tags. Like if you're already buying stuff at a store that has tags on it, just use the tags that come on it. All right, creasy, creasy, foldy, foldy. Find my hole. Crease, crease, fold. Cover paper. See, this part is really, really quick. And really, if you have beautiful paper that's on the outside, you're really done at this point. You might decide, that's it, that's enough for me, I don't need to put anything else. Oops, sorry, bumped the camera. If you could see how I'm working, you'd crack up, because I have the camera, I have to straddle the camera so that I can get a good view here. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but I haven't figured it out, so I'm constantly bumping into my camera. And I gotta find, there it is. See my hole? And where is it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, and now cut, cut. You might need to wait and let your glue dry, because sometimes if the glue is wet, it won't cut very well. All right, so there we have our covers, and that, I mean, you can tell that's really quick and easy. That was not any big deal at all. I like where this ended up. It's in a good spot. All right, so what do you want to do from there? Some people are going to say, you know what, that's enough for me. I am completely done. I don't need to do anything more. Others of you are going to say, well, wait a minute, you know, is that all I can do? And I'm going to say, no, it's almost never all you can do. I love adding layers and layers and layers, and that's one of the things that I personally love about art journaling, is I can just keep adding keep adding little bits of things. I can add a little stamp. I can add a little piece of ribbon. I can add a button. I can add something. And every time I add something, you know, it just looks more and more interesting, and it just gives it character. And I don't know, whatever. I just like adding stuff. All right, so here's our covers. This one's going to be my front. So if you wanted to put something more on, which I did, I think you remember I said I wanted some words. So this said the good stuff is inside, which I really like. But I think you can tell from here, even though you're not sitting right here with me, you can tell that that's really hard to see. So I would like something underneath it that makes it easier to see, and I still may have to do something more, but let's see what I have. Once again, I've got, oh my gosh, I really like that. See how that really pops? All of a sudden it jumps right off the page at me. And the other thing I like is, this is a pattern that I have used. This is tissue box, but I use this pattern in my journal inside already. So it's repeating. I love coming back and repeating stuff over and over. I also have this pattern, which I like. This is the inside of safety envelope, like a bank envelope or something that somebody sends you important papers. I don't know that I like that as much. I really like the yellow. The yellow really jumps out at me. I have this, that's a piece of the envelope. I also used that inside. I kind of like that too. Might have to be creative because I don't have a big piece of that. I like that because it's got the small blue flower and the big blue flower. I might end up just using part of that. Yep, I think I'm going to use that. I thought I was going to use this, but I really like the blue. All right, so it's up to you now to decide if you have words, if you want something else on it. The first thing to do is get yourself a first print that you collected to go with your cover print. So this is my print that goes with my cover print. And I'm going to have to be really kind of tricky here because I don't have a big enough piece. So let's see what I can do with this. Now, I think I'm going to have it kind of overlap a little bit both ways. All right. So this is going to go underneath. If you have words, it is going to go underneath your words. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. So as you can see, I had a lot of ways I could use this paper, but I decided to make this edge, the square corner, match this square corner. And all of a sudden, that just looks really, really neat to me. Now, I could have done it, you know, I could have made like more of a square piece. I like that too, and that's not lined up with anything. And it's a little less of it. I like both of those. I like it both ways. But I think I am going to go ahead and use the bigger piece just because I think I would like to see more of it. And I like it because it's top and bottom. I really like that. All right. So you can do that. You can also, let me just give you a couple of examples. So here's another option. If you want it, again, this is only if you want to put more on there. You might put a piece of something here. Again, this goes back to our patterns that we used. That was the lined paper. And if you remember, I told you to mount it like 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. That's going to be the same with this here. If you want to put another pattern on, go ahead and put it on down in this corner, but mount it maybe 1/2 inch from the bottom, and your paper should be at least, your decorative paper should be at least an inch wide, okay? All right, so if you're doing this option and you're just putting an extra piece, now you're going to need an embellishment. So you're going to need one more thing on there that makes it kind of interesting. So that's going to be maybe a stamp. It might be a, I'm going to use this just because I happen to have it right here. It would help if it was something possibly round, or at least the picture of it was round. So I would put this here or this here. All right, so I would either put it to the top of your scrap of paper, overlapping, or the bottom of your scrap of paper, overlapping. All right, and it just should be at something that's the size of a quarter, probably not too much bigger than that because of the size of your paper. And it should have some kind of image that's very distinctive. All right, that's what your little embellishment, it's kind of the quintessential thing about an embellishment, is it's got some very definitive focal point to it. All right, this works nice because the green is here and this has got green. I don't want it on here, but I wanted to give you a template, an idea of what to do if you wanted to use this paper over here. And no words. You could still stick your words on here. Where are my words? Where'd my saying go? I lost my saying. Here it is. You could still pick words on it, and the words would go all the way over to this edge. If it's if it's not too long, you could still put the words on an angle if you wanted. That would be okay. I think if you're going to put them on an angle, probably this embellishment should go on an angle. So I'll take my hands away and you can see? All right. But it can go straight across. If you're a straight across person, put it straight across. That's okay. All right. Just make sure things are kind of stair-stepped as you're layering them. So see how this is kind of inside of, this edge is here, this edge is here. This edge is here, this edge is down here. We don't want to line up things. That would be lined up. It's not going to look good that way. It's going to look better if one's out, one's in. One's out, one's in. Okay? So go ahead and find your embellishments. Find your extra whatever you're going to use if you're using something else. I'm just going to go ahead and use this because I like it. And that's really what this is all about. It is all about just, you know what, do you like it? And if you like it, stick it on there. And don't let anybody tell you it looks bad. If you like it and it made you happy to make it, then just be happy with it. And if somebody says something about it, seriously, this is one of those times, just like, don't listen, because you had joy and pleasure in making it. And that's the whole purpose. It is really the reason I want everyone to learn about art journaling, because I just think it's important to play. And I think it's important just to enjoy the process. And if people are making fun of you, you know what? Let them make fun of you, but enjoy the process and just know that you're enjoying the process. And then maybe find people. There's lots of communities out there that are art journaling communities and art communities that everybody's really, really supportive. So if you're doing this kind of stuff and people, at home, or your kids or your husband or whoever is saying like, that's really stupid looking, then don't show them. Find a community on Facebook, on somewhere, and show those people. They're the people that are going to say, oh my gosh, that's really cute, or that's really fun, or I like the colors that you used. You don't have to be, nobody's looking in this instance to be Michelangelo. And truthfully, those criticisms and those comments are what keep us from being creative. And we kind of lose it as we grow up because we're so afraid that it's not going to be beautiful and it's not going to be perfect. Well, you know what? It doesn't have to be. I am quite happy with that. I feel like that is good enough, and I'm not going to do any more. And then I say that, and I'm always, yeah, you know what? That's got to go up there. Can you see the difference that made? Like, this is pretty, but for me, man, I just love it. I love it with the other pattern up there. I think I am going to cut it smaller, so I cut this little square edge off. But I got to say, I always like, I get it to the point that it's done, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, maybe a little more would be good. Uh-oh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Hopefully I won't sneeze. So if you're going to do like I did, then you want a coordinating fabric. I keep saying fabric. You want a coordinating pattern. So if you've used a pattern down below, go ahead and use the same pattern up above. I love that. I really, really love that. And it's going to look even better once I put my ribbon on. All right, so let's talk about this ribbon. You might be the kind of person that you're like, you know what, Lisa, this is fussy enough for me. I do not want to do anything. Then you know what? You can use a shoestring and just tie it around your journal so that it doesn't, it doesn't flop open and get ruined. If you want to just play with doing whatever the next thing is, then you can go ahead and do a ribbon. Okay, so I'm trying to put this approximately, I don't want to get too fussy, but approximately the same difference. So this is about a 1/2 inch away, so I want to make this about a 1/2 inch away. And it's covered up my hole, so I have to punch my hole again. It might like mess with my paper because my paper's wet with glue. No, it worked. Perfect. Yes, I really, really like that. Oh my gosh, and now I'm tempted to do more. So I will show you what I could do more, but I won't do it. So I've got these cool little designs that came with this same thing. I'm really tempted to cut that off and put that on there. Just give it one more little edge, but I'm not going to do that because I could be here all day and nobody wants to be here all day with me. All right, so let's put this together and we'll talk about the ribbon and then we're done. Believe it or not, that is it. Here's the back, here's the front. Now, if you're doing this as a gift, something that's really fun to do is on the inside of your front cover, put a little pocket, just like one of your templates. Let's see, where's the template? This one. Template number 2, which is, I think, episode maybe 4. Template number 2, we put an angular folder pocket on there. You can put a folder pocket on like this. And now you could put a little note in there to the person and say, you know what, this is why you're my best friend, or I'm so happy that you're celebrating your 40th birthday, or whatever it is. You can put a little special note in there to them, and then the rest of the journal is theirs to write in, but they always have a little special note from you right in the front cover that says, this is why you're special to me. Alrighty. Now, why would we use a ribbon? Okay, so as I'm carrying this around, sometimes, like I put really fussy stuff in mine. So if it's clanging open, I'm afraid, like this little button, I'm afraid this button would come off if I don't, if I don't keep it closed. That's why I use a ribbon on all of my journals. If you don't want to be fussy about it, fine. Then just take a ribbon, tie it on there, or a shoelace, whatever you want, tie it on there, and you're finished, okay? If you want to make the ribbon a permanent part of your journal, then go ahead and tie it on and decide where you want the tie. So for me, I always kind of like my ties off to the side. I like it over here, for example, because all of this stuff is kind of pointing up to it. So that's where I would want my tie to be. My ends are even. Okay, so I tied it pretty even. So that's where I want my ribbon to be glued on the back if I'm going to attach my ribbon to the back. So now all I need to do is flip it over. I got to kind of hold that there. Flip it over. And now I just need to glue something. I'm just going to use this pretty little yellow. I do have a gigantic hole punch, so I use this gigantic hole punch. And I'm just going to glue this dot on here, and that will hold my ribbon there so that it doesn't move and it stays in the same place all the time. If you don't care, then don't glue it down. But this is why I can't tell you how much ribbon you're going to need, because I don't know how thick your journal is. So you may have to wait until the very last minute and then not glue your ribbon until you see how long you need it based on how thick your journal is. I know my original tag journal was 17 tags, so it took a lot of ribbon. And there we have it. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Isn't that just lovely? I really, really like that. That is the end of our tag journal adventure, our adventure with tags. All right. I hope you really enjoyed playing tags with me and learning how to art journal a little bit. Feel free to message me with any questions you might have about your project and anything that maybe didn't go well or you would like to do differently, or maybe you need some more explanation. I will be doing more, obviously, more videos on more tag things. I find I only like to do something once. So I will have lots of new things to be doing because I've done tag journals once. I'm like, okay, now I need something else. The next one that I did, because I'd already done tag journals, the next one that I did was out of coasters. So this is my coaster journal. And basically it's very similar. I bought a pack of coasters, but you could use coasters if you have them around, and decorated them and put journal notes in them, little pockets in them, And now I have this beautiful tag journal that's it's a coaster journal instead of a tag journal. And I'll do a video on this one. So I'm just always looking for new ways to play. I hope you enjoyed playing with me, and thank you so much for taking the time to create with me. For now, this is Lisa Stearns and Art Journaling Adventures for Beginners. You can find me on Facebook groups under Art Journaling Adventures for Beginners, and also on Instagram under the same name, Art Journaling Adventures for Beginners. Take care.